Okay, today we are doing 6.1, and it's similar to what we've already been doing. You guys should know most of it. Step 1, you want to get the exponent on one side of the equation. Now, the reason why I said get the exponent, normally I said get the square, but we are not only dealing with squares now, right? We're dealing with cube roots, fourth roots, fifth roots, and so on. Okay? Next, you'll root each side of the equation by the same root / exponent to eliminate the exponent. And then you will solve the equation. Some things to remember is that if it's an odd root, okay, I'm going to put here, odd root equals one answer. Okay? Either it'll be positive if the root was positive, or it'll be negative if the root was negative. Even roots, so anytime you take the even root, it's going to be two answers because you're going to do plus or minus. So anytime you do an even root, it's going to be plus or minus. Odd roots, it's not plus or minus. Yes, we're good? Okay. So, on example 1, is the exponent by itself? So what are we going to do? Very good. Divide by 4. So now I have x to the 5th equals, and 128 divided by 4 is? Very good. Okay, is my exponent by itself now? Good. So what root am I going to take? Was there any? No. Sorry. 5. So we're going to take the 5th root of both sides. When you take the 5th root of x to the 5th, what does that become? X. Is this answer going to be plus or minus? No, because I took an odd root. Okay, it's only when you take an even root. Yes? Yes. Okay, 32, what does 32 break down to? Right, and 32 is one we're actually going to end up working with a lot, but the 5th root of 32 ends up breaking down to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 2s. If you did 8 and 4, 8 is 3 2s, 4 is 2 2s, that makes 5 2s. So we have a group of 2s, so that means my answer is 2. Yes?
How do you get 5? Okay.
See how this was a 5 power? In order to get just x, you have to take the 5th root. Okay, so whatever your power is, that's the root you're going to take. Okay? All right. So, on example 2, is the exponent power by itself? Good, so what am I going to do? Good, we're going to take the cubed root of both sides. When I do the cubed root, what does this become on the left? X minus 2 is correct. Equals. When you take the cubed root of a negative number, what ends up happening? I only is when you have an even root. When you had an odd root, it just becomes negative. So this is actually going to become negative cubed root of 14. So if this is an odd root, the negative just comes outside. If it was an even root, an I would come outside. So you're never going to have a negative inside the root. It's just that if it's odd, it'll be a negative. If it's even, it will be I. Okay, is x by itself? So what do I do? So my answer is x equals 2 minus the cubed root of 14. And that cannot be simplified further, so that is our answer. Questions? Okay, number 3 then. Is my exponent or power by itself? Yes. So what am I going to do this time? Very good. I'm going to take the 4th root. Notice that this time I am taking an even root, which means that my answer is going to be plus or minus. So we have x plus 5 equals plus or minus, and what can 16 break down?
4 and 4.
Good, 4 and 4, which ends up becoming 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. And how many do I need for a group? So I have nothing left over, so that's going to be 2. Do you think I should separate this one into 2 separate equations? Yes, because I can add 5 and 2 together, right? So we're going to have x plus 5 equals 2, and x plus 5 equals negative 2. And then you're going to solve. So we subtract 5. X equals negative 3. Subtract 5. X equals negative 7. So my answers are x equals negative 3 and negative 7. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How do you feel so far about this lesson? Everybody just give me an opinion. Really, Eddie?
Yeah, I really don't.
Okay. All right. So this one, we had powers, and we used a radical in order to get rid of our powers or exponents, right? So if this was 4, we took a 4th root. If this was 3, we took a 3rd root. If this was a 5, we took a 5th root. They all kind of match, right?
Yeah.
So the second part of this is, if you notice on this side, we have roots, but we want to get rid of the roots. So if it's a square root, we're probably going to do what? Square it to get rid of the square root. If it's a cubed root, we're going to probably end up cubing it to get rid of the cubed root. You're just working backwards. Okay, so step 1 is to get the radical on one side of the equation. If possible, you want the radical to be by itself, so it's just the radical. Okay? The next thing is that you're going to raise each side of the equation to the same, exponent or power. So whatever your root is, you want to raise it to that exponent or power in order to eliminate the radical. Or you will raise each side to the reciprocal power. To eliminate the rational exponent. And we'll see that on example 4 is what we'll be talking about there. And then step 3 is to solve your equation. So do you think you guys know how to do example 1? Anybody have an idea of what they think we might do on 1?
Square the line.
What you want to do is, in order to get rid of that square root, we square it. But you have to do whatever you do to one side, we do to the other. Well, whenever you square root, it's canceling the root out. So we end up with 5x minus 9. So whatever's inside the root ends up coming out when you square it there. And then what's 11 squared? 121. And then you're going to solve for x. All right, so we should have added 9 to both sides. You get 5x equals 130. And then to get x by itself, you divide by 5. And so you get x equals 26 is correct. Questions? Okay, so on example 2, is my root by itself? No. So what am I going to do? Very good. You have to first subtract 1. So I have the cubed root of x minus 5 equals negative 2. is the cube by itself now? Yes. What will I do? How do we get rid of a cube root? You have to cube it because you need 3 of them. So we have to cube both sides. When I do that, that cancels our cubed root and our cube. They cancel out, and so we're left with x minus 5 equals, and what is negative 2 cubed? Negative 8 is correct. And then to finish solving this, what will I do? Add 5. And we get x equals negative 3. Okay, try 3 on your own. Again, always try to get that cubed root by itself. When you have the answer, you can show me on your whiteboard, or I can walk around and look at it. All right, it looks like pretty much everybody got it. Okay, the first thing you do is get rid of the 2 in front of the cubed root. So I divide by 2. We have the cubed root of x minus 3 equals 4 divided by 2 is 2. In order to get rid of a cubed root, you have to raise it to the 3rd power. And whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. That cancels those out. We end up with x minus 3 equals, and 2 cubed is 8. We then add 3 to both sides to get x equals 11. That is your answer. Okay. Example 4. You want your exponent root to be by itself. So, what am I going to do on example 4 first? Very good. Divide by 7 to both sides. So 56 divided by 7 is what? 8 is correct. Okay, now, back at the beginning I told you if you ended up having a fraction exponent like this, you raise it to the reciprocal power. So what would be my reciprocal power here? 5 over 3 is correct. And then that means I have to raise this side to 5 over 3 as well. Good. So on the left, 3/5 and 5 over 3, what happens? They cancel out. That's the whole purpose, is you want that to cancel out and you just want to have x. Now I have 8 to the 5/3. We learned this before. How do I change this into root form to simplify it?
8 goes inside, so it's square root to the 3rd, and it's 5 times.
Good. So it's going to be the cubed root of 8 to the 5th power. So the 8 goes inside. The bottom number is your root number. And then whatever answer that is, we raise it to the 5th power. So what is the cubed root of 8? 2, because 8 is 2 times 2 times 2. So we have a group of 2, so we're going to have 2 to the 5th power. And we should know this one by heart at some point, but 2 to the 5th power is 32. That's going to come up a lot, 2 to the 5th power. You should know that. Okay? Do we have questions here? Okay, I'm going to stop the video here before we go to the next section.